Hello, and welcome to another edition of After the Whistle. We are here. We got a jam-packed show. Sweet 16 is here tomorrow. Sweet 16. We're gonna talk about the first two rounds and some other stuff. But Todd's here once again. We're here making things do what we do.
Yeah, man.
And I'm drinking some baraka juice, whatever. But this stuff's good. We'll get more into this later on in the show. But let's get right into it. So, one of the biggest games, UCF and Duke, and the basketball gods just didn't want UCF to win. That's basically what it come down to. UCF did everything possible to win that game, and the guard, he shot a shot. I'm pretty sure if he shot it 10 times, he go 9 for 10 or 10 for 10 any other time. And Dawkins, I'm pretty sure that's a putback that he never misses, and it's just one of those things. I would have been. My heart was like, wow, I feel bad for them because they should have won that game.
Nah, the basketball gods are definitely on my side, too. I still got Duke to win it. But honestly, I feel bad for them because Duke didn't deserve to win that game. When your point guard goes 1 for 8 from the three-point line, it's tough. And, Zion played like Zion. That man is a physical specimen.
Yeah, he's carrying them.
Yeah, you can't let him get anywhere near the rim in the air. He's going to drop it in somewhere. But Dawkins, man, 32 points.
Yeah.
5 for 7 from 3. He had the game of his life. Granted, he probably should have been a Dookie.
Yeah.
But, he kind of showed them what they missed.
Yeah, definitely, because he definitely outplayed R.J. Barrett and Cam Reddish. I mean, Zion, he's put Duke on his back since he's came back from that injury. In the 5 games since he's came back, he's 27 points, 6 rebounds. In the 2 tournament games, 57 points, 14 rebounds. He had 25 points against North Dakota State. So Zion, it's been the Zion show this entire tournament. This game was basically Zion. He had a hard time. I mean, it's not easy getting the ball scored on a 7'6" guy, but they got him in foul trouble. And that last foul they called on him, I wish the ref would have just not called that one because I think that's one of those you just got to be like, that's. But, I mean, hey, what can you do? But another thing, don't you think the NCAA should go to 6 fouls?
I would like that just because it's weird going 5 fouls and getting the professional range and going 6. And it just makes the game more interesting because things like that won't happen. Maybe Duke probably doesn't win that game if Taco doesn't get 5 fouls. He only has, my bad, doesn't get 6. He only has 5.
Yeah, because a couple Duke players also had foul trouble too. Zion was playing with 4 for pretty much the down the stretch. I think RJ had 4 as well. So they need to change that, make it a 6. They should change the rules and make it more NBA style because they're auditioning for the NBA, so why not?
Yeah, definitely.
Common sense would tell you that, but that's another story.
And all season, it's kind of been the Zion show all year for Duke.
Yeah.
Granted, R.J. Barrett's a great player, but he's more complimentary to Zion because Zion is just so physically dominant.
Yeah.
And he's too much attention. Yeah. That's what it is.
The play that really, the play that kind of was the difference in this game was that botched alley-oop.
Oh, yeah.
That botched alley-oop. I think it just slipped out of his hand. This was literally one of those things. It was just like, and the breaks didn't go their way.
And it's one of them things. I'm sure some old school coaches were like, man, just give him the bounce pass for the layup. But they teach him a guy could jump, throw him that alley, quick points. It just didn't work out. Me personally, I wish they would have figured out a way to give him a simple pass for a layup. But that's how it goes.
I think he waited too long. That's why he threw the alley. Because when I was watching it, I was like, bounce it, because he had him the whole time, but he just waited last minute, and it was just one of those things. But, you can't ask for a greater look and a greater way for them because they got the shot that they wanted. They got what they were looking for, the matchup that they were looking for on defense, and it was just and when I saw that ball go out, I literally fell out my bed. I was like, yo, that did not just happen. Yeah. That's one of those things that just...
Yeah, that tipping,
man.
9.9 times out of 10 that falls. That was just one of them things, just wasn't their time. But the game was probably the best game I've seen in a while in the tournament. And the story behind it, you know what I mean? One of Coach K's first pupils, you know what I mean? Who kind of been with him for years.
Yep.
Basically,
he's the one that put
Duke to the wire.
He made Duke what Duke was. He was the guy. He was the recruit that basically put Duke on the map.
So it's kind of like the master and the protege.
Yeah,
Mr. Miyagi and Daniel's son.
Basically. But in another great game that happened this weekend, Maryland versus LSU. This was another one. Maryland started off slow. They were down double digits. and they just willed their way back. And what I'll say about this game, there was a bunch of dogs in this game. Both teams had a bunch of dogs. And LSU, they have some dogs on their team because this game was just about who wanted it more, pretty much.
I mean, Maryland's been a solid team all year. You know what I mean? They've been in and out the rankings, right?
Yeah.
LSU, people talk about LSU being the most talented team in college basketball. And Trayvon, right? Trey Waters?
Trey Waters, yep.
That boy, he's one of the best point guards in college who's not being talked about as much as other guys. Like, because end of the game situation, I want the ball in his hand because he's going to make the smart decision.
Yeah, definitely.
Usually all the time.
Definitely. And Skylar Mays, he went 4 for 8 from 3-point. There was a stretch where they just hit back-to-back threes. And Maryland could have gave up on this game when they were down, but they started knocking down some open shots. They harassed them on defense. I think the zone kind of messed up LSU. And then from that point on, it just became a back-and-forth game. And then when LSU hit the go-ahead three to go up 3, Maryland came right back down the stretch, down and hit the 3. And then, Waters, that was just a great play he just made. He just, he got it up over, I forget his name, Smith, but it was just by this much.
And him being a small guy, he understood, like, what type of shot he had to take to get it up. In a certain amount of time. They say if he would have tried to do it like a regular layup, he either got blocked or he would have ran out of time. So it's a smart man. Like, and you got to learn. You got to have different type of layup in your package.
Yep, definitely. And Maryland, they're a young team. They're a really young team. So if this group comes back together, they may have a chance next year. But that was a really, really fun game to watch. I just liked how it just kept going back and forth, and the players decided it. The refs kind of swallowed their whistle towards the end and just let the players decide. You kind
of had to do that. You kind of have to treat the NCAA tournament like the NBA playoffs.
Yep.
Granted, you don't want people to get beat up, but it has to be a little more physical. It has to be a little more on the line.
Yeah, definitely. So, LSU's moving on to the Sweet 16 for the first time since that year they went to the Final Four with Glenn Davis and them boys. And another wild game, Iowa versus Tennessee. This one, I honestly turned the channel once. Iowa was down 25, so I left. I come back, and it's tied 71 going into overtime. And I'm like, what in the world just happened? And Coach Barnes, what are you doing? He had his best player on the bench in the overtime. He only had 4 fouls. I mean, why is he on the bench? He got 4 fouls. It's overtime. If y'all would have lost that game, this would have been a black mark on you.
To be honest, I missed this whole game. I forgot what I was doing, but I heard about it. Yeah. I don't know why you put one of your best players on the bench with 4 fouls in was it overtime, you said?
Yeah, overtime.
Unless they had a little confrontation or a little debate on the bench. But some coaches sometimes can't get over themselves. Yeah. Realize the moment's bigger than the situation at hand. I got benched before in a college game, like when I was a sophomore or junior, so I get it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And sometimes it's time and place to do stuff, but I don't know what happened, why he was benched. I'm just saying there might have been some other factors.
It might have been, but it's still, because if he's your best player, probably, one of running for SEC Player of the Year, you got to have him in there. Granted, if he fouls out. Just know he was in there in the overtime, but having him on the bench for the whole overtime, it could have went the other way. If you guys would have lost, then people would have been looking at you like, why was he on the bench? But granted, Tennessee, they pulled out. They came out.
I actually saw the interview, and he was saying that the team was on a roll and they were playing so well, he didn't want to mess it up. So I get what you're saying, because he's the best player, but they won. So
yeah, they won. They won so, that, but yeah. It was just.
I've also been there before when guys on a roll. It's like let them play.
So Tennessee is moving on to the Sweet 16. They've been a tough team all year. At one point, they were ranked number 1, so they're going to be a tough out in the next round. Now, this game, Auburn versus Kansas. Auburn just ran them out the gym. It wasn't even close. I think the first 2 minutes of the game was close, and then Auburn, they just ran them off the court, and nothing more.
It just looked like Kansas realized they were freshmen, and the moment might have been too big, and Auburn, they're a bunch of dogs, man.
Yeah.
And Kansas didn't have Vic. Vic was like one of the only players that can really create his own shot, really, and just fill the hole up, basically,
Yeah, because Kansas had no answer, especially for Bryce Brown, who had 25 points, 7 for 11 from the 3-point line. They just couldn't contain him or do nothing with him. And, Lawson for Kansas came to play with 25 points. But nobody else really, nobody else from Kansas really came out to play. Dotson, he had 13. Grimes, he had 15, but they weren't really, effective points because they were down big the entire game.
And the final score was 89-75, and that's not even the truth, really. The halftime score was 51-25, so they kind of had it on cruise control the whole second half.
Yeah, pretty much. So I mean, this is Kansas at its finest right here. It's either, like you said last week, it's either they're in the national title game or they're in early exit, and they were in early exit. So I'm not surprised, especially the year they have had this year. It's just been a year of injury and some off the court stuff. Then you got that whole I think FBI probe or whatever with that.
And wasn't one kid suspended? He couldn't even play ineligible or something like that?
Yeah, one kid wasn't eligible.
Yeah, it's too much going on.
There was so much going on with that program, but Kansas will probably get at least 2 or 3 McDonald's All-American, reload, and they'll be back again next year because that's usually what happens with Kansas. Purdue and Villanova. Your boy, what's his name? Cesar Edwards, whatever his name is. That boy jumped.
Carson Edwards.
Edwards. I said Caesar. I don't know. Carson Edwards was just pulling up from, I don't know where he was pulling up, but every shot he took was going in. I don't even think it hit the rim or anything. It was just all net. And man, there's nothing you could do about that. There's absolutely nothing you could do about that. When a guy's putting it behind his back and stepping back like that, you just gotta shake his hand and be like, listen, you had it going on today. Yeah,
that system works perfectly for Carson Edwards just because, most players don't come down doing stuff like that in the NCAA tournament or college basketball game in general. So, his coach has all the confidence, the utmost confidence in him as your point guard. As you see, he put up 42, shooting 9 for 16. Most people don't even shoot 16 threes in a game.
That's the most points since Jerry McNamara did it against St. Bonaventure back in 2004. He put up 40.
And McNamara was one of the few point guards that their coach had the utmost, confidence in them.
And he had that green light.
Yeah, his neon, it was neon. His light was neon.
Yeah, so Purdue is one of those teams. Every time I think of Purdue, I just feel like, it's Purdue. They just seem like a slow, boring, half-court offense team. But this guy, man, he's took them to another level. And they're always usually great in the Big Ten. They're always probably in the running to win the Big Ten, but I don't know. This might be one of those years where they could make a deep run because usually nobody takes them that serious.
They usually don't have a point guard that's good.
Yeah.
They usually have quality point guards, but not somebody that's been solid all year, that's been killing all year.
And that could create their own shot.
Yeah, and Villanova had a down year this year, so I'm glad they got out the first round. So.
Yeah, I actually had Villanova beating them. But we'll talk about that.
Villanova young, a bunch of underclassmen, so they'll be back next year.
Yeah, they'll definitely be back. Now we move on to the Sweet 16 matchups. The first matchup we'll talk about Kentucky versus Houston. This is a matchup of two different styles. Houston, with that 3-guard lineup, they're small, but they use their quickness, athleticism. They got 3 guards that can really cause damage. Corey Davis Jr., he had 21 points in the last game. Armani Brooks, he had 10.6 rebounds. And Galen Robinson Jr., he had 13 points and shot 66% from the field the last game. So these 3 guys are the key to Houston. But they're going to have a problem with Kentucky's front line. Kentucky's front line is going to be the difference in this game with Reed Travis and E.J. Montgomery, because those guys put together 40 points, 32 rebounds in the 2 tournament games. And Houston, their tallest, their best rebounder is Armani Brooks, and he's only 6'3". So you got 2 guys that are 6'10".
Houston has to speed the game up.
Yep.
They're going to have to speed it up, cause organized chaos, and just pressure Kentucky, because Kentucky, they're long, they're big.
Yeah.
They're probably going to win the game.
Probably.
Just because you have to score more than those 3 guys have scored last game to beat Kentucky.
Yeah.
Those are the 3-headed monster, you're going to have to do more.
Yeah, definitely. And maybe the Kentucky's youth or inexperience in the backcourt might keep Houston in the game, but I mean those 2 guards, Higgins and is it Heron? Hero.
Tyler Hero.
Hero's a dog.
Yeah,
that dude's a dog. When he gets it going, he's 6'5", he's athletic, and when he gets that shot going, it's gonna be tough. So
then you got PJ.
He's still hurt.
Oh, he's hurt?
Yeah, he's still hurt. I don't think he's gonna play.
Oh, man.
That fractured foot.
Oh, okay.
So they've been doing this without him, but they got the size. Kentucky got the size. I don't know if Houston can match up with the Kentucky size.
It's going to be a long night, especially in the half court with them in the size. So I don't really see Houston's. I don't see them getting smacked, but I don't see them.
Yeah, they might have to. Close. If they play up tempo, if they make Kentucky play their style, they'll probably keep the game close and have a chance to win. But if they play Kentucky style, if Kentucky slows them down and just throws that ball in the paint, because I don't think they have a guy that's taller than 6'6" on Houston.
I don't think so either. But and Kentucky speed up too, though.
Yeah.
So it's one of them things like pick your poison.
Yeah.
And see what works for you.
Maybe those threes will fall for Houston next game, but we'll see. This is another game. This is a matchup of two similar styles. UNC versus Auburn. This is a matchup. Both these teams like to go up tempo. UNC, you score on UNC, you blink, they're getting a layup down the other end. And Auburn, what they did to Kansas, I mean, you got to watch out for them. But the backcourt, this is the matchup I'm looking for. The Kobe White versus Jared Harper. Jared Harper, I should say. Mm-hmm. Kobe White, he's been killing. He's matured, and Jared Harper, he had a great game against Auburn. So that's the matchup. And then Kenny Williams, ACC All Defense versus Bryce Brown. That's gonna be a key matchup right there.
I see Williams and Brown being more of a key matchup just because one's great offensive, one's great defensive. Yeah. But it's gonna be the bigs.
Yep.
The bigs for UNC. Are they going to be able to, rebound the way they've been rebounding, especially offensively, because they're like the number one offensive rebounders in the country?
They've been number one for like the past 8 years.
Yeah, my point exactly. So as long as they rebound and do what they need to do to win the game, they'll win the game.
Yeah, because in the first game, they had 20 offensive rebounds. The second game, they had 15 offensive rebounds. And a guy that's been stepping up his game is Nasir Little. 19 points the first round, 20 points, 7 rebounds the second round. So I think he figured that out late. I think he figured out Roy Williams' system. He figured out how to play college basketball because they were saying he was still a project, that he had to work on his fundamentals, but he was athletic. But now I think he's figured out, what he can do, his strengths, and he's been hitting the open shots too. He had a couple open shots.
Yeah? Do you think he should leave?
No.
No.
I think he should come back because they got some guys coming back there.
There's nothing wrong with coming back though, but he's finally finding his way, and that's the biggest thing with some of these high recruits, high level recruits. You don't know what you're gonna get from them the whole year.
Yep.
So he started off slow. They're figuring it out. I have North Carolina losing in the Final Four, so I have to win this game.
Yeah. So. and with that about coming back was if he decides to try to enter. He could enter, but he could still remain. They could just see where he's at, where he needs to improve, and then he could just come back to school.
Now, but they still have they made the rule now that you can go to the draft and just if you don't get drafted, you can go back, right?
Yeah, as long as you don't sign with an agent.
But they gotta have that conversation.
Yep.
With the coaching staff and them, make sure they're on the same page.
Yeah,
and stuff.
So he should. I think he should try that, but he should definitely come back.
Test the waters every year.
Yeah, just test it, but come back because I think under Roy Williams, he gets guys in the league. So nothing hurts with coming back in. It's North Carolina. Purdue, Tennessee. This one was. We just talked about Carson Edwards. This is another one. It's going to be these two teams. I think they're almost similar in a way. They almost play the same style with the big men and also the guards because they got shooters. Both teams have shooters, and I think this is probably going to be one of the closest games because I think these are two teams that are similar.
I could see that. Grant Williams and Schofield, if they play the way they played last game, I think they'll be all right.
Yeah.
They both had 19.
Yeah.
But Schofield's like a big that can shoot.
Yeah.
So he's a tough cover, but Carson Edwards, man, somebody put a hand up on that boy.
Yeah, they got to get the ball out of his hands because once he gets it going, he might, you might blink and he got 5 straight threes and you're down double digits.
So you know me, I'm a big guy anyways. I'm a guy, so I feel like if Purdue does what they need to do, they might beat Tennessee. But I got Tennessee going to the chip.
I have Tennessee as well. These guys over here, none of them have Tennessee going on. But wait, Brian has Tennessee. Brian's dad had Tennessee.
Smart man.
Smart man. But yeah, I think Tennessee might pull it out by the edge of their teeth because this is just one of those games. It's like too close to call a similar style. So just go with the higher ranking team. That's usually my game. Virginia's in the Sweet 16. They're playing against Oregon. I hate watching Virginia I hate everything about Virginia basketball. They're slow. They're boring. They just make you not want to watch basketball. But Oregon's a different team. They got that guy Pritchard. I think is it Pritchard?
I think Pritchard, the point guard.
Yeah, the point guard. I think
it's Pritchard.
Yeah, that guy. He can shoot that thing. That dude can shoot that thing. And then Wooten, defensively, he's been sending things out of nowhere. But I don't know too much about Oregon.
I've been wanting to, say that Oregon might upset the Cavaliers. They're the Cavaliers, right?
Yeah.
All right, making sure. Messing the mascot name. But hope they upset Virginia. Bill Walton has been raving about them since the Pac-12 tournament.
Oh, yeah?
And, they were saying that they weren't going to get in. They were the second to last four out.
Oh.
And Bill Walton was like, what are you talking about? And they're actually in the tournament. So apparently he has a clue. So I'm going to go with Oregon, personally, just because they've been on this roll since the Pac-12 tournament. And they still going.
I just don't want to see Virginia advance because Virginia's just an ugly team to watch. There's nothing good about the University of Virginia basketball, but I think, they're probably the most suspect team in this tournament. Suspect number one seed, I should say, in this tournament. And, sometimes a team just gets hot at the right moment. And Oregon, they've been hot. And, Virginia, they've kind of started off slow in both games. So you never know, especially with the three-point shooting that Oregon can possess. So
and Oregon's they aren't slowed down anymore by Bo. Granted, he is a physical specimen, but he couldn't really figure out how to play within their offense and be effective every game.
Yeah.
He had some 20-point games, maybe a 130-point game, but after he got injured, they're all figuring out their niches and
I think that injury, he probably would have figured it out later on, but that injury came. But I mean, hey, they moved on. This is a rematch. The ACC is well represented in this tournament. I think they got like 4 teams move in the Sweet 16s. 2 of them are going up. Duke versus Virginia Tech. The last time they played, Virginia Tech won. It was in Blacksburg. Zion wasn't playing, so we might see another close game because Virginia Tech, they do play tough defense, and what we've seen from Duke is it's been the Zion show, and everybody's just sitting there and watching.
Yeah, I got Duke beating Virginia by a comfortable margin.
Yeah, it's because not everybody has a 7'6" guy that they could just put in the paint and just stand there.
We talked last week. Taco Fall is just 7'6". It's just hard to deal with 7'6" in college basketball.
Especially when there's no rule that prevents you from not being in the paint for the entire, shot clock.
That's what people forget. There's no legal defense in college basketball.
Yeah.
When you 7'6" and just sitting there in the paint,
yeah,
you can beat almost anybody.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. So, I mean, Virginia Tech, maybe if they knock down shots like they did when they played them the first time, they could have a chance. Do the same strategy. Get the ball out of Zion's hands. Double team him. Double team off of Trey Jones's man, or even they bring another guy, Goldwire off the bench. He's not good. He's just there.
Oh, light-skinned dude?
Yeah.
He's bright like me, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
He's just a hustle player they use, but I remember one game I watched him. He got in there. He started cramping. I'm like, how are you cramping?
He was potting the night before. That's what he was doing. He didn't think he had a chance to get in the game.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I think Duke is gonna beat Virginia Tech. It might be close just because they're ACC rivals, but I think Duke will pull away at the end in this one because I kind of need them to pull away. If Pedro could show my bracket real quick, we could see one side of my bracket is pretty good. There's just you see the East and West region. I'm doing pretty well. Then we go to the South and Midwest region, and I'm doing decently in the Midwest, but.
I mean, Midwest the only one they put any thought into. So, you're doing all right.
Yeah. Also, I got Brian's over here. Brian, he has Michigan State winning it all, and Brian's dad, I think, has North Carolina winning it all. So his Final Four, Brian's Final Four is Michigan State, Florida State, Houston, and Virginia. That's an interesting one. And his father's is Michigan State, Kansas State, Texas Tech, and North Carolina.
Pick Florida State. Only because Terrence Mann. Shout out to Terrence Mann from Lowell, Massachusetts.
Yeah, there you go.
Turning me doing his thing.
Yeah, definitely. And they got a Congolese dude on that team. So
what?
yeah, they do.
Right.
They do. Shout out to him. as well. As we go on, LSU versus Michigan State. Cassius Winston, this guy, he's pretty much put the team on his back. He's been a real leader for them. This is another matchup of dogs. I like these type of matchups.
Yeah, I think it stops here though with Michigan State.
Oh yeah.
I think it's LSU's year to make a solid run, just because they have a lot of pieces. Like Michigan State, they're a good team, but they have their shooter back.
Mm-hmm. No, he's done for the year.
Yeah, so I mean, like if they had him, I have them going. You know what I mean? Beating LSU, but if they don't have him, I don't see them.
Yeah. This game you're gonna see athletes all over the place. Mm-hmm. It's gonna be one of those games that. I mean, Michigan State, tournament time, Tom Izzo always finds a way to, get the most out of his team. So maybe.
And that's the only thing I'm worried about. Because I always tell people, Michigan State, they coach for the tournament. They don't even care about the regular season.
Yeah, definitely. Before we move on to Gonzaga, Florida, what did you make of the craziness people were going at Tom Izzo for when yelling at his player and pointing the finger at him last week?
I got snatched up by coaches by the collar. Like, my parents never seen an issue with it. As long as they don't put their hands on you, like, in a disrespectful manner, the coach can invade your personal space. He's like your second father. Yeah. Like, you're with him just as much as your family. So, like, I don't understand the big deal. And it's like, if you have no problem giving your child to an institution to teach them how to be better, how to be more mature male or female, you should be able to handle what comes with that as well.
Yeah, I mean, listen, if you're a football player, that's just another regular day. That's just another day in practice. If you, in most sports, especially football. Remember, I played football. That was just another day. You get yelled at. Sometimes they'll get in your face a little bit. You just gotta take it. You gotta be like, especially when you messed up, and you know you messed up. So you just gotta deal with it, move on. Just let them yell, cause you make a big play. 5 seconds later, everything's all forgotten. The coach he'll forget all about him yelling at you, all about your screw up, and it's just back to business. I mean, that's just basically how we came up as coaches.
And like two things, hear the message. Don't hear the volume of the voice. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, that's what a lot of people get too caught up in. Yeah. And like yeah, man, it's just one of those things, bro. Like,
don't put your finger in my face like that, though.
That too, yeah. But I feel like a lot of people had opinions about it weren't athletes.
Probably.
Because a small percentage of the world are athletes. Most people aren't. Yeah. So they can't understand what it takes to get the best out of somebody in that field.
Yeah, if you play in a competitive sport, in a game that's close and it's win or go home time, you're going to get yelled at by the coach. Especially if you messed up and you ain't paying attention to detail. You might see the bench for a good amount of time. So, I mean, that's just sports. I mean, well, nothing happened. Gonzaga, Florida State. Florida State, I thought they was going to get bounced earlier, but, they've been doing their thing. They've been playing well. They pretty much shut down Murray State when they let Ja do whatever he wanted, and they shut down everybody else. With this game, I think this is another matchup of styles because there's long athletes on each team. Pause. Each team got athletes. So Gonzaga, they got some guys in the paint that can shoot, that can go in the post, that can do a little bit of everything. And Florida State got, Terrence Mann. He's been there for a while, so he understands what it takes.
I think Gonzaga just has too much firepower because you can try to shut off one guy for Gonzaga, and they got a whole bunch of other guys. Like is Perkins still their point guard? That his last name? Light-skinned dude?
I think.
Well, I mean, he's a killer.
Yep.
That boy nice. And then you got the kid from Japan, the China, Japan, Achimura.
I think he's Japan. He's from Japan.
He's like a black Japanese guy.
Yeah.
I think he's like half and half.
Yeah.
So. But he's from there though, so he's Japanese.
He's Japanese.
So I just see them. They have too much firepower for Florida State. And Florida State was solid, but like a lot of games, I feel like they were down to the wire with them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Gonzaga's.
Yeah, maybe that's good for them because last year they were also close to making it to the Final Four, and maybe they returned a lot of players. So maybe the experience might take over. But I think I had Syracuse and we'll move on. Texas Tech, Michigan. This one, I think Michigan. I think Michigan's going to take this one. For some reason, Michigan's another team. Tournament times, they take it up another level. And, what's the dude that hit 9 threes? I forget his name. I forgot his name, but he had 19 points the other day against Florida, and Michigan, their point guard Simpson, he's probably one of the best point guards in this tournament. And we know tournament time, it's all about guard play, especially point guard play.
Yeah, I don't know who hit the 9 threes, but Simpson's definitely solid. I like his little hook he runs. He throws the little hook just because nobody can really block it. And he's solid though. He's solid. He doesn't do too many flashy things. He does the plays the team needs him to do to win, and he's just solid. To be honest, just solid.
Yeah, and Jordan Poole, he didn't hit 9 threes. He hit 4. He was 4 for 9 from the three-pointer. Jordan Poole.
Okay.
Jordan Poole.
He can shoot that thing.
Yeah, he hit that big one last year against Houston to send them. But yeah, I think Texas Tech's run comes down to this. I think Michigan just has more talent and I think a little more experience than Texas Tech, and I think they're gonna move on. So, that's our NCAA roundup. Sweet 16s tomorrow, and all that good stuff. Now, NFL news. To no surprise, Rob Gronkowski retired, and we talked about this after the Super Bowl. We were like, I'm not surprised I wouldn't be surprised if he retired. 9 seasons, and this guy has probably one of the most accomplished tight ends in NFL history in under 10 seasons, and he's probably going to go down, if not the best, one of the greatest tight ends ever, top 2, top 3, and let me just read some of the records that he's broken. Most touchdown receptions by Patriot players was 79. Most touchdown receptions by tight end in the regular season, 17. Only tight end to lead league in receiving touchdowns in the season. Only tight end with 1,000-plus career playoff receiving yards. Most touchdowns in a season by a tight end, 18. Most seasons with 10-plus touchdowns by a tight end. He had 5 seasons of that. Only tight end with 3 seasons with 10-plus touchdowns and 1,000 receiving yards. Most consecutive seasons with 10-plus touchdowns by a tight end was 3, and he's tied with Randy Moss for most touchdowns in a 2-season span. And this is just 9 seasons, and we're not accounting that he never played. There was only 2 seasons where he played every single game. So this guy, he was just one of those rare specimens.
Yeah, I thank him for the time he was here. You know what I mean? 5 Pro Bowls, 4 All-Pros, 3-time Super Bowl champ. He did what he needed to do.
Yeah.
And honestly, if I was him, I'd retire too. Like, you haven't played a full season in how many years?
Yeah.
And then it's like he was slowly digressing. So it's like, man, just take this victory lap and go home.
Yeah, and he's retiring before the age of 32.
Yeah.
I mean, you pretty much made the biggest plays in the AFC Championship game and in the Super Bowl. And some of the catches he made, 3rd down catch in the AFC Championship game, then the sideline catch in the Super Bowl in the 4th quarter to set up that touchdown. So, I mean, there's no better way to go out than to go out the way he did. So, I mean, congrats on a great career. He's going to be first ballot Hall of Famer. And if he's not, then we need to start tying up some of these voters and, getting rid of their rights.
We might have to then.
All right, in other NFL news, they have proposed a rule for the replay since Sean Payton's been crying about that non-call that happened in the NFC Championship game. So with the new pass interference, pass interference is now going to be reviewable with this new rule. Offensive and defensive pass interference is going to be reviewable. Coaches can challenge non-calls, and this was approved 31-1. So it's kind of ridiculous. I think it's going to be annoying because you see how they're going to stop the game to review something that, human error is a part of football, is part of life, and now you're just going to do that. And I just blame this on Sean Payton and the Saints for crying the whole time about that non-call. They had so many chances to win that game. Granted, that play was a big play, but you still had the ball. You still had chances to score a touchdown. You had the ball in overtime first. Your team threw an interception. So, I mean, this is dumb.
Yeah, I put stupid in my notes just because this is dumb. Like, what are you paying the refs for? Human error is part of the game. You miss calls, you make calls. That's just how it goes. Yeah. And then it's like, NFL games are long enough. You're going to try to replay every offensive, defensive pass interference? There's like one every play.
Yeah.
So I might not even watch NFL anymore the way this is going.
It's just going to make the game longer and unnecessary, and people just going to be annoyed with it. So that's dumb. That's very dumb, but whatever. That's the NFL for you. They just don't know what they be doing sometimes. But
stupid.
Anyways, and other NFL news, the Colts signed Justin Houston, this is a boost for their defense. Guy, he played 96 games with the Chiefs, 78.5 career sacks, 22 sacks in 2014. Last season, he had 9 sacks in 12 games. He's going to be added to a defense of the Colts that was already pretty good, 11th ranked last year. They had 38 sacks as a team, tied 19th in the league. And then, you know, they were 9th in the league in interceptions and 16th in pass defense. So I think this will help the Colts a lot. This team, they're actually looking forward. This might be a team that we might have to watch out for as a Super Bowl pick.
I can see that, the way they were playing last year, and they're going to just continue to run with that momentum coming into this season. And he had 5 forced fumbles and 1 into last year as well, so like he's definitely a well-rounded defensive back. Yeah,
definitely, and that's, you know, that defense wasn't too bad last year, so it's only going to help them. They had some pieces on offense too, some receivers. So this team, they look like they know they finally know what they're doing. So which is a good thing. I told you, when the owners just stays off the drugs. Yeah. Clay Matthews, he signed with the Rams. Clay Matthews, he's going down. He's the Packers all-time leading sacker with 83.5. That's also tied for 58th all-time. And he had, you know, with the Packers, he put up great numbers for the Packers. Won a Super Bowl with them. He had 4 seasons of double-digit sacks. He had some 15 forced fumbles in his career. Last year was a career low for him. He started all 6 games, but he had 3.5 sacks. And he's going to put defense. That was decent, not great. 41 sacks as a team. 19th ranked defense, 23rd against the rush, 19th against the pass. So I think he'll help somewhat, especially they lost a couple players. They don't know if they're going to sign Ndamukong Suh again. So having him with Aaron Donald, that's pretty good.
I've always been a big fan of Clay Matthews because, you know, the third team I root for, y'all don't know, is the Packers only because of Brett Favre. Yeah. So he had 43 tackles last year, 3.5 sacks. I mean, it's not to his caliber, but that's solid for a regular guy, I feel like. So, you know, he'll be all right. He's getting older. Yep. You know what I mean? His skills are digressing a little bit, but he's still effective.
It's a good pickup for the Rams. I think the more veterans they get, maybe they could go back. But, I mean, you know, that full family, his family got like a legacy in the NFL going back to like the 60s and 70s.
Yeah, he's not even the best one.
No, he's not.
He's the one that had to work to be good.
I think he got a cousin. The cousin plays in Atlanta, and then there's another. His brother plays one of the teams. That whole family is just a football family. So, good luck to him. Mm-hmm. All right, some Major League Baseball news. The Mets, they re-signed Jacob deGrom. Only thing I remember about him, he used to have this long hair. He cut it. Looked like a surfer. But they re-signed him, 5-year, $137.5 million extension. He can opt out after 2020, and he has a club option for 2024. If the options pick up, it'll be a 6-year, $170 million deal if that option is picked up. And the Mets, they're never really that good. They haven't been good in a while, but he's been one of the best pitchers in the league. He has the 5th lowest ERA by pitcher since 1969. Him and Pedro Martinez are the only pitchers to have sub 2.0 ERA over 250 strikeouts and fewer than 50 walks in the season. So, and he was a Cy Young winner. So, I mean, hey, pay your good players.
Yeah, he's winning awards. He's the only reason why you're talking about the Mets right now.
Yeah.
And what did he have? A 1.7 ERA?
Yep.
And 269 strikeouts. So, but my thing is, like, he was 10-9, but also he doesn't control that. So, but I'm sure, like, some of that is on him, isn't it?
Some of it is on him, and then others is like, come on, guys, give me some runs.
Yeah, so, you know, I mean, 5 years, $137.5 million, I think that's solid.
Yeah, that's definitely solid for him. Yeah, well, but the Mets are still going to suck, so.
I mean, you got to pay for performance, though, so you got to pay your players.
Yeah, pay him. Or the Red Sox should have traded for him, but that's another story for another day. All right. Ichiro Suzuki. Suzuki, that's a car, right?
Yo, I'll be honest, I forgot his last name was Suzuki. I just knew him as Ichiro.
Me too. I never knew his last name.
He's like Prince to me.
Yeah.
No last name, just one name.
But this guy, he retired 2 games into the season, which is weird, but okay, I think he finally realized he's 45 years old and he can't deal with 162 regular season games. But that 2 games into the season.
I didn't understand that. I didn't understand if he he need to play them 2. Oh no, the 2 games was in Japan. So he wanted to play in front of his hometown.
Gotcha.
That's why they were in Japan. I think.
Okay, that makes more sense now. All right, that makes sense. I thought he was.
He's the greatest Japanese baseball player. To touch a bat.
Yeah, and they took. If you take some of the records that he had in Japan and brought him to the league, it'd be like he'd probably be like number one all over.
Like
But, you know, this guy, let me just go down some of the stuff that he's done. He's played in over 2,653 games. He had 3 seasons where he's played all 162 games. 3,089 hits. I think that's a major league record. Yeah, that's a major. 509 stolen bases. He has a career 3.11 batting average. So this guy got to the base every time. Pretty much every time he got up to bat, he got a hit and was on base. So, I mean, granted, he never won a World Series ring, but hey, you did more for baseball, especially for Japanese players. So that's all you can ask for.
Yeah, I think he opened the door. He definitely opened the door for a lot of Japanese players just because they didn't know what type of plays they were getting.
Yeah.
And when you see Ichiro and you're hoping the next guy coming over is like Ichiro.
Yeah.
So.
yeah, man. Like some of the, I remember there was I forget the one pitcher's name, but they had to pay I think like $100 and something million just to talk to him.
For the Red Sox?
I think it was the Red Sox.
And he was no good.
Yeah, Pedro just yelled out his name, but yeah, he wasn't. Well, he did. Didn't he get us a World Series? Did he help?
I think he was on the team. He did?
Yeah, he did.
All right, well, he might have been on the team, but nah, I don't.
Well, Pedro, was he the closer? Oh, he was a starter. He was a starter. But I remember that. I think the 2013 World Series. I remember him having some good outings. But yeah, just the fact they had to pay over $100 million just to talk to him. Just to talk to him.
You paid me $100,000 to talk to me.
Yo, give me 50 G's. You can talk to 50 G's. Talk to me, right? Talk to me for 50 G's. All right, we're gonna go to +1. This was a different type of interview. Well, not a different type of interview. It's just just watch it +1, and then we come back. We'll learn more about these juices here.
Was he killing?
Hello there. We got a +1 special edition. So March is, as all you know, is Women's Month, and we haven't done our due diligence and brought women on here for March. So I brought 2 very special guests, Miss Vanessa and Miss Benine. How you ladies doing?
Good. How are you?
I am great. I'm glad you guys were able to come on a Monday. You know, you could be anywhere else, but you're here. So, I mean, let's get right into it. So, first of all, Miss Benine launched a podcast last week.
Yay.
Big hit with the people. Talk to us about that. What was that? What was the mindset going into that? What's the story behind your podcast?
So I actually have a website where I blog often, and I felt like though a lot of my writing, people read it and were just like engaged with it, I felt like I had a voice and I need to just speak and use the mic to get my point across with a lot of messages.
And what's some of the messages that you're trying to get across with this podcast?
Essentially what I share is relatable, real-life lessons, but a lot of it has to do with my faith as the foundation, because I feel like my life is just like surrounded by it. Like everything that I learn has to do with my faith, so why not share it with other people?
Definitely, that's keep the faith alive.
Yeah.
It's good to have some faith in your life. Now, Miss Vanessa, she's been busy herself. She brought us some juices here. It's frozen. We can't drink it right now. But what got you started into making these juices?
What got me started? It's actually a long story, but I'm gonna try to make it short. So it started with pulling away from drinking like store-bought juices. So I have a very bad craving, like sweet craving. So I used to go to like juices to like satisfy it, but then at some point, like God told me to stop drinking juice. So fast forward months later, I had to leave my job, and then fast forward again, one morning I wake up, I'm just craving juice. I'm like, but it's been months, I haven't had any juice. Why am I craving juice right now? So that morning I woke up and I opened my fridge. I saw that I had like a couple of apples, and I remember that I had a juicer in my cabinet that I hadn't used for like years, 3+ years. So I make that juice, and I'm like, whoa, the taste was so natural, so different than the store-bought juices. And it just started right there. I started making my own juices, and one day in the middle of a conversation with someone, it's like, why don't you provide it to your community? Why don't you make juices for people? So that's just like how the idea started, and now, it's like in bottles, sharing with people.
All right, and what are some of the different flavors that you got? I see what we got here. We got pineapple, ginger, and lemon.
So that one is actually self-control. I have 6 flavors out right now. The goal is to have 9 of them. So we have love, joy, patience, self-control, faithfulness, goodness.
Faith.
Yeah.
It's all goes back to faith.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right. Now, how do you two incorporate your idea and your idea? How do you two bring that on together when you guys work with each other? How does those two intertwine?
There's many different ways. I mean, we're best friends to begin with, so we're always helping each other out in different ways. Just giving each other ideas and sharing stuff, and sometimes we take pictures for each other just to help promote. It's really about working together and putting stuff out there for people that are doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Mm-hmm. And now, what do you guys do with these? How does this help you guys? Because you work with young children. How does it help you guys when you guys working with young teenagers, young women, just to give them a vision or just give them an idea of something that they want to do? They could see you two. You guys had an idea, then you brought the idea to life.
So I have a lot of, my life is pretty much surrounded by teenagers, honestly, like even with work and stuff too.
You ain't got no gray hair.
Actually, I love teenagers. They keep me alive. They give me such energy. But they follow my blog. They listen to my podcast. And then also I have a girls ministry. It's called SIS, and it means Strengthen Sisters. So usually it's every year for a few months. And right now we're just planning to start it back up probably in April. We meet twice a month, and that's really where I get to have the one-on-one or just deeper conversations with them. It's usually about a group of like 10 to 12 girls that come often.
Yeah, that's really good. Now, how are you going to incorporate these juices and just trying to help people live a healthier life? Because you did say you try to stay away from store-bought juices or store-bought sodas. When you said drinking, I thought you were going to say alcohol first. When you said with the juices, how is this going to help people just live a healthy life?
Okay, so first of all, these juices are all natural. So there's no preservative, no chemicals, there's no sugar added, no water added. Whatever ingredient you see on the label is what you're having there. So as opposed to, the store-bought juices where you have chemicals, because they have to last longer. To be able to sell them in different stores, they have to add some type of chemicals in it, which is not necessarily good for you. So this is just to keep it as natural as possible, and that is good for a healthier lifestyle.
Yeah, I'm trying to live a healthy lifestyle. So clearly that's why she brought this. But we all share something in common. We're all from the Congo, and Benine has been putting on the gala for the past 4 years. What's this?
Yes.
This year's going year 4 or 5?
This year will be year 5, but we're actually, because it's such a milestone year, we're going to take a break.
Okay.
So we will be back in the fall of 2020.
Fall of 2020.
Yeah.
And just talk about what this gala does, what support it does for the Congolese community.
Yeah, so it first started, we had a brother of ours in the community that was really sick, and it was created to bring the community together to raise money to help him with funds and things like that. Unfortunately, he passed away, but it's something that we wanted to continue because we saw how crazy it was that the whole Congolese community came together to support him. So we continued with that theme of just helping each other out with different issues that there are in the community, but I think now it's turned more into being able to show people in the New England area the Congolese culture, because no one really knows. Like, if you tell them you're from Congo, they're like, where's that? Yeah. But we're the heart of Africa, so.
Get it together, people. Learn your geography, we're right in the middle. And you also, with that, before leading up to the gala, there's the basketball tournament that goes on in, July?
Usually in August. So we are still doing that this August. I'll definitely give some more details for that.
All right, definitely. And then, what else you good ladies got going on besides this? What else is on the 2019 agenda for you all?
That's really it. We got the podcast, the blog, Baraka Juices.
Yeah, these Baraka Juices. I might be living a healthy life after this. I don't know. It's kind of. I'm a work in progress. I'm a work in progress. But yeah, that's great work that you guys are doing, especially with this, because I don't know how it is with your family. I know in mine, with high blood pressure. That's the big thing. I know there's a lot of folks in our community with the high blood pressure, and they don't watch what they eat, the salty foods and stuff like that. So Are they accepting of these? Have folks in the community accepted? Are they accepting it? How's the reception been?
You know, this, I don't even know how to explain it. They've been so open about it. That's how I'm so convinced that it's just not a good idea from my end. It's not something that I've just sat there and thought about, oh, this is a good idea. No, it's really a God-inspired idea. They're so open about it. Like, I get orders, people, you know, getting not so happy about me when I run out of juices, you know, when I'm in the community. Now people, when they see me, they expect me to walk around with juices.
People literally fight over them.
Yeah, there's that one flavor that if I run out of it, it's like a fight.
Yes.
You know, some people are willing to pay double just for it. So,
All right. And lastly, before we go, we only got a couple minutes. Tell them, plug your social medias. Tell them where they can find any information.
So I have my blog website, which is www.benine, my first name, m.com. And then I also have my Instagram that you can follow me at. It's I am Neens Notes, Neens Notes.
all right, and you can find me, or you can find Baraka Juices on Instagram or Facebook. It's pretty much at Baraka Juice Bar on both platforms.
All right. Thank you, ladies, for coming. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for bringing these gifts.
Thank you.
I will definitely enjoy it when they're nice and melted. All right. So, you guys have been watching Plus One. Team Fufu No Fork is here in the building. I just want to thank them once again for coming, and you guys have a great day.
I can't.
Baraka juices. Wasn't Baraka from Mortal Kombat?
Yeah, Baraka. Yeah, with the.
Yeah, Baraka. But yeah, these things, they burn a little bit. But this one is pineapple, ginger, and lemon. So yeah, this is delicious. All right, we got 6 minutes. Let's run through this last couple stuff. Sad news for the Blazers. It's like they could never catch a break. First, CJ McCollum went down with a knee sprain. Now, Yusuf Nurkic, he just went down with a freak injury. Ooh, hurt his leg. He's done for this. His season's done. And whatever hope the Blazers.
My bad. My first time actually seeing it.
Don't worry. I didn't. Yeah.
Whoa.
Whatever hope the Blazers had of winning. Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. I'm not watching that myself.
Jesus.
You know, the worst one I've seen ever since that
Livingston?
Sean Livingston one. I've just never. I can't stomach it. But yeah,
wow.
This guy, he was having a great season for them too. It was a compound leg fracture. They said he's gonna make his return. They don't know when he's gonna come back, but there's no. I mean, there was no further. There was like no bacteria, no damage or anything like that. So it was a
clean break.
Yeah, it was a compound leg fracture. So yeah, but they're losing the guy who averaged 15 points, 10 rebounds per game for them, 27 minutes per game. Additionally to losing C.J. McCollum for a while, he'll be back at some point. So that's 15 points and 21 points gone right there. So C.J. McCollum is, Damian Lillard. It's like. He can never catch a break because this team, they were playing well too.
Yeah, man, that was my first time seeing that. I was trying to avoid it because I've been hearing so much about it. Well, appreciate it, Lynn TV. But that's crazy. He was playing good basketball. You know what I mean? They were talking about like the pieces they had in place to make a good playoff run, and now they took like 3-4 steps back. Yeah. I don't like the term they use for these injuries because that's like leg destruction. Yeah. Compound. I had a fracture, like my fracture and that, two totally different things. Like, we pray that you heal correctly.
Speedy recovery.
Yeah, speedy recovery.
Definitely.
Jesus.
Yeah, that one hurt.
Wow.
In the other NBA news, the Ball brothers, they're disbanding from Big Baller Brand. They're disassociating themselves, what it looks like, from Big Baller Brand because apparently one of the co-founders of Big Baller Brand stealing money from Lonzo Ball. $1.5 million is Lonzo Ball reported was missing. He was missing $1.5 million. And the guy, Alan Foster, I believe his name, he has a history of this. He went to jail for fraud and, just messing with people's money. And now Lonzo Ball seems like him and his brothers, they're just they seem to be distancing themselves from the Big Baller brand, and this is a sad story, like, you know, because you know what they say, never do business with family. Is that the saying? And just like, you know, the stuff that your dad's been doing with this, and now the guy that he, you know, had in place was stealing money from you, so it just doesn't look good as well, and it's like, wow.
I mean, some might call it karma.
So,
I mean, Big Baller brand was stealing a lot of Kobe's designs and putting their logos on it and changing some things. And then I heard about some people not getting the merchandise they ordered when they paying ridiculous prices for it, trying to support somebody that they think was doing the right. But my thing is, though, a lot of people talk about LeVar stealing his son's moment. You know what I mean? And I don't know if he's in cahoots with this guy or if he's on his kid's side. I don't really know whose side he's on. But my thing is, though, at some point, your kids are going to want to distance themselves from you, and you're kind of like a spectacle on TV, and then money's being stolen from them.
1.5 million.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and your kids are growing up to be adults now. So at some point, you can't speak for them.
Yeah.
And they're going to do what they want to do.
That's why Lonzo, I think he posted, he said, like, I'm a man. So he bet, I mean, good for him. Good for him that he realized this now instead of later on in his life. Remember, Kevin Garnett had like somebody 70 million stolen from him. Kid Tim Duncan also had an incident like that. Somebody stole a lot of money from him. So it's good that he found out now rather than as he got older. But now it's just like, bruh, the spectacle with LeVar Ball, because LiAngelo Ball should be in college right now. He should still be playing college basketball right now. It's something else. But, man, that's just sad, especially if, you know, the guy that your father put in place is stealing money from you. Now it's like, yeah. Lastly, before we go, I was at Lynn English. We're gonna cut this video real quick. Alonzo Lynn, he signed his letter of intent. We spoke to him a little bit. We'll get to this video, and we're gonna finish, and we're gonna, you know, call it quits.
The history that they have at that school, and what the coach talked to me about when I went on my visit really made me think about me going there. I'm very excited, but also I'm like kind of nervous because it's really far from my family, but I think I'll be all right. Well, first with the team, us winning the state championship, that was one goal that we all had together, and we accomplished that, so we're all happy about that. And then me individually, I think I played pretty good. I think I could have done a lot more, but it's all right. I did what I had to do to win us the state championship and help out on the team. Everyone here, ever since I came to English, they showed me a lot of love and support. So I tried to win them a state championship to give back, and that's what I did. I like to say thank you for being with me, everyone that has been with me through this long journey, and shout out to you guys.
All right, that's it. Congrats to him. We out of here. Peace.